Are you having problems with your quail fighting and you're wondering what can you do about it? That's what we're going to talk about in today's video, so stick around. Hey guys, welcome back to another Slightly Redneck video. Again, my name is Chris. If you're not familiar with this channel, I help you to produce your own meat, eggs, and vegetables from your backyard, your balcony, your deck, your garage, or heck, even a spare room in your house if that's the way you want to do it. And today, we're going to be addressing fighting among quail. What can you do about it? There's a couple of reasons why quail fight with each other. The most common issue is that when you introduce new birds to an existing flock, like you have a group of birds that are, familiar with each other, and you introduce new birds to that, almost always causes some fighting. They have to establish a pecking order. They almost always are going to single out the new birds. They're going to pick on them, and they're going to cause all kinds of problems there. They can peck their eyes out. They can they can do quite a bit of damage to a bird. So one of the best practices is never really introduce just a couple of birds to an existing flock. If you have to do that, if you have new birds and you want to introduce them to an existing flock, the best way to do that is to move equal amounts of birds. So 3 birds from your new flock, 3 birds from your existing flock. Put them in a new cage if you can, so the surroundings are completely new to them, as well as the birds are all new to each other. And that can help minimize your fighting a little bit. You may still get a little bit of that, and a little bit of squabbling is okay, as long as you're not doing major damage. They tend to kind of work that out. I've had success with moving babies sometimes, smaller birds that are only about 4 weeks old. They're not quite full grown yet, they're not sexually mature yet, and moving those into an existing flock of birds, as long as there's about equal numbers of each, and they seem to kind of get along and grow up just fine. Occasionally, when the younger birds hit sexual maturity, they'll start kind of a little bit of quarreling, a little bit of picking on each other, but it usually works itself out pretty well that way. So that's another way that you can kind of do that. Another thing that can cause fighting amongst your quail is if they're overcrowded. If you've got way too many in a cage, if you're doing more than maybe 1 per square foot, if they're all birds that have been raised together all the way from the brooder all the way up, then a lot of times you can get them a little bit denser packed than that. And you're fine, but sometimes that can cause a little bit of quarreling amongst them. They'll start fighting on each other, especially if you're overstocked with roosters. If you have too many roosters for the number of hens in there, the roosters tend to kind of battle it out for who's dominant. So you really don't want to go over maybe a 1-to-4, a 1-to-3 ratio, or I should say less than that. You don't want to go 1-to-1, 1 rooster to 1 hen, 1 to 2 hens. You really want to stay about 1-to-4, 1-to-5, somewhere right around in there. That'll kind of minimize the fighting amongst your roosters. Sometimes you just have an aggressive bird. Just one of your birds is just, for some reason or another, more aggressive than the rest, and he'll pick on the rest of the birds there, and he just, for some reason or another, has that gene in him. Now, what I would suggest in those cases is most of the time it's best to just call those birds out of your flock, because you don't want to pass those genes on to your other birds. Aggression can be bred into your animals, and if you've got one bird that's more aggressive than the rest, it's best to remove it so that it doesn't pass those genes on and you don't end up with a bunch of aggressive birds over the long run. Now I'm going to show you something here. I've got some birds in here that were raised in the brooder themselves. You guys, if you've been watching my videos for a while, you've seen where these birds come from. And I noticed there's about 3 birds in here that really got picked on. Let's see if I can catch them real quick. There we go. This bird got beat up pretty good. Let me get her up here. Oh, calm down, calm down. It's okay, it's okay. She's there. You can see the back of her head, and just picked bald. I caught it before it got too much worse than that, thank goodness. There you go, it's okay. And I've got 2 other birds in here. Let me show you. This bird right here really got beat up on the neck. I don't know if that's how well that's showing up on camera. Oh, calm down, calm down. Really got beat up pretty good right there on his neck. Was bleeding quite a bit, but again, I caught it before it got too much worse than that. And then I got one other in here that almost lost an eye, I think right back here. Come here, buddy. Oh, calm down, calm down. All right, and you can see he got beat up pretty good right on the head too. I thought he was going to lose that eye, but he didn't. He's starting to heal back up just fine. Now, a couple of things about this real quick. What I found was that I had one bird in there that was being way more aggressive than the rest of them. He was the one that was causing all that damage. He was picking on them. Now, a lot of the times when you have birds wounded like that, and you leave them in the cage with the other birds will start attacking that bird, and they'll start picking on it because it's been wounded. I haven't had that problem with these guys. I've been watching them pretty close. No problems whatsoever with them picking on the other birds. They're healing up just fine, so it's best for me just to leave them in here, because if I were to remove those and leave them until they heal a couple of weeks and then put them back in, it's almost like putting new birds into an existing flock, and you can start that fighting all back up again. So I've just decided to leave him in here. It's working out just fine. What I did is I took the aggressive rooster out of here. He's not quite full grown for me to want to send him to the freezer or anything like that yet. I wanted to let him grow out a little bit more, and I threw him in the cage with all my other birds in there. I'll take you over there and I'll show you that real quick, and you can probably pick out right away because he's the oddball in there. Let me get this cage closed up. All right, this is my cage with my jumbo pharaohs in there, and what I did is I took the rooster out. Here, let me get him. I think he's probably hiding in this side. There he is, way back there in the corner. I don't even know if you guys can see that on camera. Back in there. Go. There he goes. Let's open this up so you can see. You can see the one silver bird back there. He's the culprit. He was the one that was super aggressive. Boy, he was just really picking on the other birds. So I threw him in this coop right here to let him grow out a little bit more. Figured the other birds might gang up on him and pick on him, because that's usually what happens. But in this case, it hasn't happened at all. They haven't seemed to, I guess he's dominant enough that they don't want to pick on him. He's not picking on any of the other birds. They're getting along just fine. So I don't know, maybe I'll keep him in there for a while. We'll see how he goes. But you know, chances are the picking on him is going to start up again. But he's been in there for the better part of about a week and a half, and I would have expected at any time now that that would have caused it. Now, with that being said, I have had some success with younger birds when they start. You get one that's aggressive, more aggressive than the rest. He's picking on all the other birds. Taking him out, putting him in a cage like this with a bunch of other birds that are new to him, and they won't take that. They'll kind of bully him a little bit, kind of puts him in his place, and then moving him back to the other flock, and seems to calm him right down. Seems to work, but that's not always the case. You need to watch him very, very close if you're going to move him back in there. Normally, I would have just called him out immediately, but he's one of the few silver quail I have. I kind of like to keep him. If he's not going to continue to show those aggressive genes, what I'm going to do is wait till those guys heal up completely, and then I'm going to try introducing him back into that group there. And if he doesn't show those aggressive tendencies again, I'll let him stay in there. I'll let him go ahead and breed, and I'll let him pass on those genes to the other birds. So anyway, a couple of things that you can do there to kind of keep your birds from fighting so much. I got a quail that got out. I'm going to have to go catch him real quick. Hang on, I'll be right back. All right, sorry about that. I don't know how he got out. Must have snuck out while I was talking to the camera and had my back turned. You guys may have seen it already, but got him caught, put back in the pen there. He was pretty anxious to get back in there. He was kind of confused by his new surroundings. So anyway, there's a couple of ideas that you can do. Again, the best bet is, I know we talked about if you're introducing new birds to an existing flock that you're going to have problems with that. And you may be thinking, well, how do I replace my breeders then? The best bet really is when you incubate eggs, you hatch those birds out, that whole batch becomes your new breeders, and you just remove your existing breeders and replace them with your new ones. You have all the birds together from the time that they hatch to the time that they go into the grow out pens to the time that they go into the breeding pens. And that really is the best way to make sure that you're not going to get any kind of fighting. Again, watch for aggression, because occasionally you do have a bird that's just overly aggressive for whatever reason, and really the best bet there is just to remove them from your flock so that you don't have to pass those genes on. Let me know, guys, what's your experience? Have you had some other things that's worked well for you? Have you had problems with aggression in your birds, and how have you addressed it? Leave me a comment below, let me know that. If you're new to this channel, hit that subscribe button so you can keep up with my updates. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and as always, God bless.